Joining me now is Sky News contributor Louise Roberts. Louise, Harry's been in Angola this week, following in the footsteps of Princess Diana. What's his trip all about, and is it any more than a beige imitation?
Well, Caro, the Halo Trust is something that Harry's been involved with for about 15 years now, I think, and he's been patron of it since about 2019. So it's not his first trip to Angola, but the difference this time is that he's going to be walking the exact route that his mother Diana did in 1997, where the images, we're so used to seeing them now, but at the time they were absolutely a blockbuster sort of revelation, the fact that she was in such a dangerous area, and it was so profound and brave of Diana to do this, and of course it led to an international ban on landmines. So the fact that he's doing the same walk, he's very nostalgic, and look, it is a bit of a carbon copy of what his mother did, but I don't really have an issue with it because I think Harry should be doing more in the space of Diana's legacy. It's such a great thing to see him working on charities where there is an impact globally, rather than sort of complaining about his life or throwing his family under a bus. So it'd be interesting to see what coverage comes out of it, though, because he has banned, I believe, the UK press. He wants the message to come through his own channels rather than I guess, the filter of Fleet Street. And of course, Meghan's not going either, citing safety concerns. But to be honest, that's more about Halo being his brand and not her brand, because their careers are quite separate now, as you know.
Be very interesting to see how that all gets framed afterwards. Still with the royals, and we've heard much about this not-so-secret meeting between the King and Harry's top aides. There's been a suggestion that Meghan could join in the royal peace talks. And is there any sign of Prince William weighing in?
Well, the rehabilitation of Meghan continues, doesn't it, Caro? So it's no accident that her name has been mentioned in regard to these talks, but I'm certain that William will want nothing to do with that, of course. And it's interesting that he wasn't even told about the talks, and there was no request to his team to have one of his representatives there at the club just near Clarence House. They would be very cautious about being involved in these talks and certainly being papped in that situation as well. And on that note, I believe Harry and Meghan are, quote, frustrated that there were pictures of this secret talk. It's also interesting that Harry seems to be going straight to the monarch, his father, and bypassing his brother as the heir completely, which would give some indication of where the true tension, I think, lies in this dynamic. But let's hope it's a positive move forward and not just another sort of missed photo opportunity, as it were.
And Louise, do you think, though, that part of this is that I think, and that it's happening now, is that Harry knows that conversation needs to happen with the King, and probably sooner rather than later, because once the King's passed, I think that'd be even more difficult for there to be that reconciliation.
I agree. It's a conversation he has to drive. He has to extend that olive branch, and he has to make peace with his father, because, as you say, once Charles has passed on, there's no opportunity for Harry to do that. And I think William's made it pretty clear that he won't be cutting him any slack in that department as well. He's learned to operate within the royal framework without his younger brother for all sorts of reasons, and that's a very sad situation for the brothers. But Harry really has to patch things up with his father, as you say.
Now, it won't surprise you that there's a drama in the Kardashian household. This time, two of the sisters have skipped their brother Brodys' wedding. What's happened here?
So Brody Jenner is a pro surfer, and he got married at the weekend. Now, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, of course, are his half-sisters. They share the same father, Caitlyn Jenner, and they did not attend the wedding. There was some sort of clash with schedule, or they didn't want to make the wedding about them in sort of true Kardashian fashion. But it's really more about a decades-long feud between Caitlyn's ex-wives. Of course, there's Brody's mother, Linda Thompson, and there's Kylie and Kendall's mother, Kris Jenner, who apparently don't see eye to eye and have not done for some time. So the girls decided to sort of quietly omit themselves from the spectacle that was the wedding. Caitlyn, of course, attended because it is her son getting married. But yeah, less about an RSVP situation, more about trying to keep the peace. I think Kylie very much sees herself in the Kardashian camp. I think Kendall tries to sort of broker the peace and maybe be a bit neutral. And then there's their brother, of course, who's very angry about everything and tends to blame Kris for a lot of the drama. Of course, he's going to side with his own mother. But as you say, it wouldn't be a Kardashian by extension wedding unless there was some kind of drama.
It happens in every family though, doesn't it? Now, speaking of, there's been plenty of coverage and commentary around the Sanchez-Bezos wedding, and even Sarah Jessica Parker of Sex and the City fame, she reacted to that Vogue front cover.
Lauren Sanchez Bezos gracing the cover of Vogue. Hello, lover, or leave it?
I mean, why shouldn't she? I was rich enough. Why shouldn't she as well have the opportunity?
She held it in well, didn't she?
That was a very carefully measured response, wasn't it, Caro? That's some media training we're seeing there as well. And look, she's not going, no matter her thoughts on the wedding and the cover of Vogue, she's not going to take on the wife of one of the richest men in the world, is she, and sort of be rude to her, which was good to see that she was being quite diplomatic. And of course, SJP herself knows the value of a Vogue cover. It's not just about the ink in the paper, it's very much a status symbol. And of course, her character, Carrie Bradshaw, is all about Vogue and writes for Vogue and has her doomed first wedding with Mr. Big in the Vogue issue as well, with Candice Bergen as her editor, Edith. A great episode for that. But yeah, very diplomatic, and I don't think she'll be off their Christmas card list anytime soon, which is probably good for her.
No, I thought she handled that very, very well. And still in the US, and Basketball Hall of Famer Shaquille O'Neal, well, he's had a bust-up with former NFL star Robin Griffin III. What's this all over?
So this is interesting. So we've got Shaquille O'Neal threatening to punch Robert Griffin III, who's an NFL player, so they're not even the same sport really, over two female sort of basketball legends who apparently dislike each other immensely, and there's been a lot of racism accusations around that. There's been terms used which have been quite offensive. I'm not going to repeat them here, and of course Robert Griffin III has said he's speaking his truth, and look, I always get very concerned when a celebrity says that, because it doesn't actually mean they're operating from a factual basis. It's more about their interpretation of the facts. So it's a bit of a mess. It's got beyond a bit of a social media spat between these two and protecting the two female stars, and more about, you know, responsibility on social media platforms and making sure that you're respectful and not getting involved in rows or stoking up rivalry between female players when you have no place to do so.
And funny, when you've had all that media training compared to the last story we've just talked about, these guys are not green, and it's amazing the scuffle that they found themselves in. Yeah. And lastly, big celebrity news out of the UK yesterday with former Harry Potter star Emma Watson losing her licence for speeding. Nice change from some of the two-tier policing that we can often observe over in the UK. What's happened here? Is she remorseful?
Well, she didn't turn up in court, so it was a 5-minute hearing, and the fine was the equivalent of just over $2,000 Australian. Her lawyer told the court, well, she could pay it, which clearly she can because she's a wealthy celebrity, although she's sort of moved beyond the acting now, and she's now a 35-year-old writing student, I believe. So the system there is a bit different in that you actually accrue points and then you lose your licence, rather than our demerit system here. So she already had 9 points, and sort of speeding, she was about 12 k's over the limit, I believe, and that's what sort of sealed her fate. A driving ban for 6 months. I mean, she can probably afford a chauffeur, so it won't impact her too much. But it's interesting because their whole brand prior to this has been very much a Gen Z role model and a UN ambassador and sort of talking about a lot of woke issues. So it's a bit of a departure from that image, I think.